What's going on, everybody? Welcome into the Blazers Uprise Postgame Show Part 2. First stream lagged out, but we will try this again, and I have to redo the intro, all that good stuff for all the people watching back after. But the Blazers today lose 131-120 at home against the Dallas Mavericks as Luka Doncic dominates the Blazers defense. 40-point triple-double for him. Anthony Simons, 33 points, 8 rebounds, 6 assists. He has a good game. Jeremy Grant returns from concussion protocol. He pours in 27. Scoot Henderson, awful first half. He has a good second half. And that's basically this entire game, as Luka controlled things start to finish. The Blazers, a lot of players did not show up today. We got a couple different things to maybe rant about, or at least I do. A couple things that annoyed me watching this game and being on Twitter, and just we got a lot of talking points. And as I was saying on the last stream, a lot of things from the last postgame show feeds into this postgame show, okay? That hopefully we don't have problems with because the internet lagged out. Hopefully the internet's good, fingers crossed. If it does, I mean, we'll try again, and we'll just keep plugging away. You know, we don't quit, Eric. That's the one thing about us. We don't quit. We always give our best effort, best foot forward. We hustle, you know. We hustle. We figure things out. So that's what we will do if it happens again. But yeah, shout out to BetUS for sponsoring this post-game stream. They got you covered on any sports betting needs you want. Any sport, any type of betting. NFL, NBA, overseas basketball, college basketball, or all sorts of sports available on BetUS. And they got live betting parlays, picks against the spread, all sorts of fun stuff, and they have really interesting props as well. I always like going to BetUS and just seeing what props they have available, especially for the NBA, because they come up with some crazy stuff, man. So shout out to them for being our sportsbook sponsor all season long. And if you want to use them, if you want to bet on sports and try and win some money, you can use the link at the top of the description box below. It gives you a 125% deposit match, which means if you deposit $100, you receive $125 free dollars on top of that, which is basically like winning money from the jump without even having to place a bet. So they got you covered with that deal, so check them out. That link also helps out the channel, so shout out to them for sponsoring us all season long. Eric, I asked you once. I will ask you again. The defense today, that's what we're going to start off with because that's the theme. We have a lot to talk about offensively, but the defense today, this is the fourth straight game where they've given up at least 122 points. Luka controlled everything. Mavericks were very efficient, and the Blazers did not have a defensive answer for them all game long. They tried a bunch of different stuff on Doncic, I thought, in this game, especially with Uprise in the game. They played up at the point of the screen. They ran a little bit more drop with Ayton in the game, at least in the first half. But no matter what they tried, Luka and the Mavericks picked them apart defensively.
Yeah, I'm not sure where it cut off last post-game stream. So just to recap, the Blazers, when Ayton was in the game, played a deep drop in the paint. Ayton did not come out at all on any screen, and Luka just took advantage of all that space, whether it was getting downhill and getting to the basket, passing to an open teammate, or just shooting from the mid-range or three. But in the second half, it was obvious because a few seconds into after one play in the third quarter, Chauncey Billups calls a timeout when Luka comes off a screen. Ayton stays in the middle of the paint, does not come out. Anthony has to stay with him, and Luka makes a tough shot over the top of Anthony. But Chauncey stares down Ayton and chews him out on his way down, and then steps away, takes a breath, and then later during the timeout goes back to the bench and starts yelling. I don't know if that was directly at Ayton or the whole team or what, but it was very clear that Chauncey Billups and the coaching staff had told them that they weren't going to run that coverage in the second half, and Ayton messes it up the first play of the second half. So not sure what to take of that, but the drop scheme was absolutely not working, and most of the times we doubled were usually with the wings or the guards, and that was fine, but you do have to kind of pick your poison at times. But I thought after that possession, because I think that gave Luka 34 at that point, 17 seconds into the second half, and he only scores 6 the rest of the game. Now they do score a lot, but they also went on several runs. It seemed like when Luka was out of the game, they built their lead in the second quarter with Luka on the bench, and did the same in the fourth quarter when he sat out for a little bit. So the Blazers not only did a really poor job on Luka, at least for the first half and the first play of the second half, but they also couldn't stop the Mavs at all when they didn't have a playmaker in the game in that stretch where Luka sat on both halves.
Yeah. We got to talk about Ayton. Oscar, thank you for your donation. I'll read it off in a second. I'm not going to forget about you. Just want to talk about Ayton real quick. Last post-game show, I had a couple of comments on him, but I couldn't speak too much, and I said read between the lines. And Ayton, we talked about it. He had a almost perfect situation in Phoenix, and he didn't like it. Now he comes to a situation in Portland where we're 6-17 going into this game, now 6-18. His usage is at a career low, and I talked about it in the preseason. How does he respond to being on a losing team for the first time since he was a rookie and the NBA was still new to him, right? How does he respond to being on the Blazers, right? He wanted to come here. He had a little chip on his shoulder starting off, but his usage is at a career low. Ayton seems to me to be checking out. He seems to me to be checking out. And he just is not impactful at all. He comes back and we're no better than when we were starting Duop Reith. We're no better defensively. We're definitely not better offensively. Duop Reith, in far fewer minutes, did much more in this game on the offensive side of the ball. Ayton, at this point, I think is starting to frustrate Chauncey. He doesn't, we've talked about this. He doesn't take the ball aggressively to the rim. He settles for a lot of contested mid-range jumpers. Defensively, his energy is declining. He played, I thought, with a decent level of effort to start the season, playing passing lanes, getting deflections and stuff. But Eric made this point. We're in our group chat on Twitter. He said, start of the season, we didn't really play against a orchestrator like a Luka Doncic. We didn't play against a ball handler that could pick apart our pick and roll defense. And you look at it today, man, Ayton had no impact in this game defensively. Offensively, he's almost become an afterthought. We're paying this dude a max contract, and he's one of the least impactful max contract players in the entire league. And Chauncey getting pissed off at him, calling a timeout today. I saw a question in chat, is there a chance Ayton could get benched? I mean, if things keep trending the way it's trending, it is not going to end well. This situation is just not going to end well. Because you got a center, you're paying a max contract, and he's not hungry for money anymore. He got his max deal. This team is 6-18. He's used to being on a contender. What does he have to play for in his mind? At this point, I think Ayton doesn't really care like he should. That's just my own guess, my own speculation. But that chip on his shoulder at the start of the season to prove everyone wrong, I feel like that's gone. Nobody's paying attention to Portland. Nobody's paying attention to him. This team is 6-18. He's realized he's not going to be utilized more, and a big part of that is his own fault. And, part of it can be put on Chauncey, I guess. But there's a reason why he's not being utilized more is because he's not that type of player, which is what I've said for years. And now you're just in a situation where he was just extremely checked out today, man. Extremely checked out. You bring back him and Jeremy Grant, the defense gets no better. This was maybe the worst defensive game of the year, man. Other than the previous game. The previous game against Utah was real bad, but my goodness, they just didn't have an answer. They didn't rotate out to shooters. They didn't, when they played up at the point of the screen, they didn't rotate behind it. The effort level was pretty bad. It was kind of miserable there for the majority of this game.
Yeah, he's not slow. I don't understand why they feel like they have to run drop with him. And that's also concerning to me because if it's I don't know, Nurkic could come out and guard the perimeter a little bit. He didn't get blown by often when he switched on to a guard. It just made our rim protection non-existent because we didn't have anyone else. But like Brook Lopez playing drop, like you understand it because he's not going to stay in front of anyone on the perimeter. So if he switches, they're in trouble either way. But like you would think DA is big enough and athletic enough to maybe cause some turnovers or some problems on a hard trap or a hedge or a show and go or something, and then recover back into the lane. So I don't understand why we just want to have him drop so much unless he's just not capable of figuring out any other coverage other than that. I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, when we did show at the point of the screen, we didn't really trap, but the big didn't recover quick enough. That was mostly with Reith in the game. I thought that was a problem, but we just didn't execute defensively. When you show at the point of a screen, you have to try and take away the middle of the floor. Because if you get the ball into the middle of the floor, it becomes a 4-on-3, and every offensive player is a threat at that point, right? If you keep the ball on one side of the floor, you can rotate from the opposite side towards the ball and make it more of a 3-on-3, and if they want to pass it to the fourth guy, it's a cross-court pass where you can recover in time because that ball is going to be in the air for a while because it's a cross-court pass, right? So whenever you show up at the point of a screen or trap pick and rolls, you got to force the ball to the sideline. You cannot let the ball get in the middle. Every time we did that, it felt like they were just finding the ball into the middle, and that big Derrick Jones Jr. dunk at the end of the game is a perfect example. Get the ball to the middle of the floor, somebody has to rotate to the ball, and then you got somebody cutting in from the baseline. It's a wide open dunk. So I think the execution as a whole behind any sort of aggressive pick and roll defense we played was awful. So I understand maybe trying to run drop, but Luke is just going to eat up all that space and play at his own pace and just kind of walk his way to the rim like only he can do. So there was really no answer in this game. For me, it's like if every player came out and like busted their ass defensively and Luka has a game like this, sure. In some players, I don't think it was necessarily an effort problem with them defensively. That's kind of why I'm calling out Ayton a bit. He just, I don't know, man. He looks checked out, and it's problematic for me. I talked about a couple of things on last postgame show. You know, I'm not going to rehash anything, but I'm worried about him being checked out, and I'm worried that this is going to become a situation where, like, he doesn't like Chauncey. Chauncey doesn't like him. It might already be there at this point. And it becomes basically Monty Williams situation 2.0, where now Ayton hates his current coach instead of just his last coach. But at some point, if you keep dealing with problems with players like that, it's the player, it's not the coach. So this is just something to watch out for. I said that last game. This is something to watch out for. Watch how maybe, Chauncey and Ayton interact, because I'm wondering if that relationship is becoming a little bit frayed. And, I mean, the very next game, Chauncey's chewing out Ayton after calling a timeout 18 seconds into the half.
Yeah, the thing about the defense, though, it's like I don't understand how far back we're dropping. Because if he just drops a little bit, like you can maybe understand, like, so if Luka comes in, he can contest, but if not, he can stay with this guy, and you give the guy getting screened, or that was Kamara or whoever it was, a few seconds to get through the screen. But when you're dropping that far, you have no chance, and you're putting your point of attack defender on an absolute island against two guys. One's trying to take him off the ball by a screen, and you just have no chance against a masterful player like Luka like that. I don't understand both the game plan by the Blazers and the lack of doing anything about it. It doesn't make any sense to me that would be our actual game plan. I had a comment on Twitter saying it. Someone was getting flashbacks. I think it was Tyler Cornwall said he was getting flashbacks of doing that against Steph Curry in Game 1 of the 2019 Conference Finals. And yeah, it's like that. It's like whether you get destroyed by whatever coverage you're in or not, you know that dropping that far off a player like Luka is not going to work out from the very beginning. And if you think it was, like, that's just horrible coaching, in my opinion. You're muted.
Maybe that wasn't the coaching. Maybe that wasn't the game plan. Maybe that was Ayton. Maybe that was Ayton not playing high enough. Okay. Especially if he's calling a timeout 18 seconds in the second half to already chew out Ayton, I'm sure there was some problems earlier on in the game.
Well, okay. Here's the thing. Because when Ayton first... Because like I said, the first few games we played, we didn't really have this problem because we didn't play a team that attacked downhill off pick and rolls very often. And so when you do that, like, you can't really tell from those games. Like, I went back, it was only a couple weeks ago, I went back and watched the Magic game because that was the game I didn't really watch. Crushables on the post-game show and stuff. Yeah. But I watched that, and, like, we didn't really do anything on defense to, like, be like, okay, this is our scheme that way, because the Magic play kind of a different offense that utilizing their wings a lot more than most teams. Same with the Clippers, who we started off on opening night with, right? They use Kawhi and PG on ball a lot more. Now that they have Harden, it's a little more like a normal offense. But then when we started playing teams that had a pick and roll heavy offense, from that point on, Ayton was dropping. And then I mentioned this or noticed this several times. I was like, well, is he dropping by design, or is that just him dropping? And as the season went on and he kept doing it, now we're, 20 plus games into the season, I can't think that that's not by design, that they didn't want him dropping. Now at halftime, very clearly, they said, no more dropping. I want you to play up. And he did not play up. And
yeah, so, but there's a different level of depth. Not everything is just like simply drop scheme. There's shallow drop, there's deep drop, right. There's different levels of depth. And I'm wondering how much of it earlier in the game was like Ayton was dropping deeper than they wanted him to, because I don't think they wanted him to stand beneath the rim, basically, which I felt like he did on, maybe I'm over-exaggerating a little bit, but I felt like he was in a deeper drop than they probably wanted him to be in, because you don't give Luka that mid-range space, and when you see him dropping that deep, it's like, man, that cannot be your game plan, because Luka will eat all that up and just go to work and surgically dissect you. So either it was just coaching malpractice, or Ayton was dropping too deep the entire game, and then they obviously made an adjustment at halftime to stop dropping, and Ayton still is sitting there dropping extremely deep. They call a timeout, chew him out. Like, I think this is just my guess, because I don't know. I just watched the game like everybody else in chat. But my guess is Ayton was dropping too deep the majority of the first half, deeper than the coaching staff wanted him to. So then they make an adjustment at halftime, and then Ayton, very first defensive possession, doesn't make the adjustment, continues to drop. So they call a timeout and chew him out. Like they had enough. That's my guess, because, yeah, you don't drop that deep against Luka Doncic. But I don't know if it was the game plan or not. I mean, because it could have definitely just been Ayton Ayton dropping too deep. There's different levels of depth there.
Yeah. I don't know how they wouldn't adjust that throughout the first half if that was the case. Like the first time he goes to the bench,
if he ain't listening.
Well, yeah, I know. But to me, that's... I don't know. So... To me, if it was something they were talking about in the first half and not just the second half, I think Chauncey benches him right there 18 seconds into the second half.
Maybe. I mean,
if it's something that was talked about in the first half. But if it's just something at halftime, he got one play, he didn't do it, choose him out, send him back in, see what happens. But I don't know. I would say that Ayton might have been messing up in the first half if I hadn't seen it all season. So it's kind of hard to say that it was on him in the first half.
I mean, we don't know.
He's been dropping that much all season, so.
We don't know. We don't know. Like, we simply don't know. I'm not going to pretend to know one way or the other. Like, we don't know. I'm very curious to hear Chauncey Billups' post-game
we got to listen to it tonight.
We will listen to it on stream later on in the stream. Mm-hmm. But, I mean, the problem is just Ayton hasn't dealt with much adversity in his NBA career. I know there's people saying he's a buzz, this and that, but, like, he was in a pretty ideal situation in Phoenix, and he didn't like that situation. The logical thinking with a guy like that is he's going to come to a losing team and a team that utilizes him even less, and he's going to be even more unhappy. And I saw a comment earlier in the stream saying, like, I think Ayton's getting tired of all the ISO ball and, like, not being utilized. Maybe, but also I don't really care if he is. Because at some point, he has to man up and start controlling what he can control, which is his effort level and how hard he plays, and trying to take the ball strong to the rim. Like, he can control what he can control. The problem is if everything isn't perfect, it seems like if there's anything he can find a problem with, he finds a problem with it, and his effort lacks. And this is from watching him for years in Phoenix. Like, this is who he was in Phoenix. I'm worried this is starting to be who he's becoming in Portland as well. So I don't know. Like, stop making excuses. You got to man up, control what you can control. If you're mad that the team's playing too ISO heavy, too freaking bad. Go set good screens and roll hard, and maybe you'll get the ball. The problem is he doesn't roll hard. The problem is he doesn't try and seal. The problem is he doesn't do things to try and get the ball in good situations for him to score. He doesn't set great screens. He doesn't roll hard. He cuts his rolls off short. He doesn't find the passing window for the pocket pass on the pick and roll well enough. He could spot up and probably shoot threes, and I don't think Chauncey would be too mad, like if he shot 1-3 a game, right? But he doesn't do that. He doesn't seal guys. When he gets low post position, he lets guys fight around him. He's not physical enough or doesn't have the mindset to actually seal them, or he just has no clue how. Like, there are things that he could do that aren't dependent upon Chauncey to try and get more touches when the Blazers aren't in sets, which a lot of times it feels like it's just iso ball, rat ball, etc. He can't sit there and be tired of that. He needs to do things to try and get the ball if he really wants the ball. The problem is he doesn't. He doesn't do the little things. He doesn't do stuff like that. He doesn't roll hard. When he gets the ball, he doesn't take it at dudes. He doesn't seal. So I'm not going to give him excuses. I'm not going to buy the excuses for him. Okay? Yeah, maybe he's tired of it. But guess what? It basically becomes a victim thing where, like, he's the victim of this team playing too much iso ball instead of him doing what he can do to get more touches, to get more shots, to be a better player. It's always someone else's fault. I hate that mentality. But that's kind of what it always was in Phoenix. And I said this regarding Ayton. I want guys that come in and create good situations for themselves. I don't want dudes that need everything to be perfect to be content. So.
Well, Tori, what's if you're gonna say let's just say, for example, let's play this out. Okay. He shows lack of effort when he's not getting the ball, right? Let's just say that theory. We're going to test that theory, okay?
Sure.
What happened at the beginning of this game? First play of the game.
I missed the first play because I was trying to find a stream, not going to lie.
Oh, okay. All right. I'll let you know. First play of the game. We run the back screen Shaedon Sharpe lob play for Ayton. Ayton gets a wide open dunk. 7 seconds into the game, okay? Next play. Sharpe drives right down the key, dumps it off to Ayton for a dunk. Back-to-back baskets for Ayton right off the bat, okay? Mm-hmm. So we're less than a minute into the game. He already has 2 baskets and 4 points. On the other end, you could already tell he was checked out of the game on defense. And later on, he made a long mid-range jumper and had 6 of our first 13 points. And And so, like, he was engaged in offense. We tried to get him involved on offense early in this game because I'm sure the coaching staff was trying to see if that could help too. Like, if they're feeling like he's not giving effort on the defensive end, like, let's see if we get him involved on offense if it makes a difference. And no, right from the beginning of the game, when he got 2 baskets in the first minute, he still was not giving that much effort on defense. So someone like that, okay, you could say maybe that is the reason. Maybe he needs to have 20 points before he starts playing defense or whatever. Like, I don't understand how many points you're supposed to give him before you start to criticize him for not playing both ends. Because it's not like okay, if it's like Anthony or Dame or whatever, right? They're having to completely create a shot out of whatever the offense is and the defensive coverage and get around several players and score or get into the paint, and they're smaller, so if they take contact, it takes the wear on their body, right? Ayton had 2 wide open dunks. Like, he just standing there and got dunks. Like, it doesn't take a ton of energy for what he did. So, like, there's no excuse like, oh, he was using all his energy on offense to score those baskets. No, they were easy dump-off dunks and a lob dunk. Like, so it's not like he was even creating, and you can use that excuse. Like Jeremy, then he hits, like, his first 6 shots or something like that, and they were all, like, basically self-creation from him. And so you could understand if he's getting tired trying to carry the offense or whatever. But you don't have those excuses for Ayton. And I wish I wasn't here saying this, but, like, I don't think it matters what you do with a guy like that. I don't think giving him touches helps. I mean, it doesn't hurt, but it's if you're not motivated regardless of what happens elsewhere, if you're not self-motivating and all that kind of stuff, you can't be effective as much as you need to be. And I don't know if the coaching staff is just allowing him to like do this on defense or whatever, or it's schemed to do this because that's all he can handle on defense. I mean, that might be part of it. Maybe he's just not capable of mixing up coverages throughout a game, and so it's like hard to say, like, because like in a normal game, I mean, this is at any level. Like, you can go down to high school. You do scouting reports on teams, and you say, if this guy is handling the ball, you guard him this way. If this guy has the ball, you might guard him a different way, right? It's not the same coverage for every player on a team, right? Like, everyone knows that, right? It's pretty basic.
Yeah.
But like, if he's not capable of knowing that throughout a game, of like, okay, so in this situation you hard hedge, or this situation you double, or this situation you drop. Like, if he's not capable of figuring that out throughout a game, it's very difficult to game plan or whatever. And then I feel like what you mentioned last stream about how they're kind of stuck with him because if they trade him now, it's kind of admitting they made a bad trade, and I don't think they're willing to admit that with how the public perception would be. Like, so it's the same thing with like benching him or like whatever. They can't really do that, one, because they don't really have much depth at center. What are they going to do? Play Moses Brown or whatever? But two, it's just the optics of benching him right now. Like, they bench Nurk, you know. I don't think that would be what they want right now.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. I don't know what he needs to help him. I don't know. But it just comes back to mentality and disposition. Like, believe people when they show you who they are, right? I am so tired of Portland will fix this guy. He just needs to come here. What if he comes here? Watch, he'll play with Scoot and Ant, and he's gonna become a star, like, he's gonna prove everyone wrong, blah, blah, blah. We'll fix him. It never, ever works out when we bring a dude here saying, he had problems before, but we can fix it. Who have we ever fixed? Any player we've ever said that about, we haven't fixed them at all. It's been the same exact thing, if not worse. And I've sat here and ranted about it. And it's like, we bring in Cam Reddish, we can fix him. He's literally the same exact player, right? Like, bring in Ayton. He's literally a lesser version of what he was last year. When he was apparently unhappy. I don't know. So, I am so tired of that. We got to stop saying we're going to fix guys, and we need guys that set the standard. Because here's the thing. Right now, in a rebuild mode, we don't have a standard. We don't have, like, a culture. We don't have an identity. We have to establish all of that. Because we're basically starting from scratch. Okay? You don't then bring in a dude with his attitude and sit there and expect him to help you with that. Right? He may try it first, but guys, for the most part, are going to revert back to their old ways. And that's just where, going forward, I want dudes that work their ass off, that play hard, that are dogs, okay? All season long, Scoot Henderson has struggled. But all season long, I've said, I'm not worried about Scoot Henderson. I said I was slightly worried on one stream after a really bad game, and then people took that to mean a million different things. But all season long, I've preached patience with Scoot, and I've said I'm not worried with Scoot, and he's had some real bad moments. But you know why I'm not worried about him? Because I know that he works his ass off. I know that he has the right attitude. I know that he will play hard. I know that anything he struggles with, he will work his ass off to fix. That is who Scoot Henderson is. Okay? So I'm not going to worry about him.
When he's playing bad. Like, you can
tell. He cares.
He gets mad, yeah.
In this game, Anthony Simons, we're going to have to talk about him because he, like, changed the mood of this game. Last game, we got punked all game long by the freaking Utah Jazz who were missing a bunch of players, right? And what did I say in the postgame show? I said, we need to play with more pride. We need to take pride in the fact that we're on our home court and getting punked on our home court, okay? Anthony Simons played with some pride today. Now, the refs were on some BS and kind of pissed him off, so that kind of helped. But he changed the complexion of this game because he started playing his ass off. He picked Luka's pocket and got a steal for a transition bucket, and he took over this game offensively. He was playing hard, man, on both ends of the floor. During that stretch, he was getting hyped up. Like, which is kind of freaking ridiculous, that Anthony Simons had to be our emotional leader in this game. But it's also awesome at the same time, right? Because Ant coming in, super quiet. Now, like, look at him. He changed the emotion of this game. Guess who fed off that? Scoot Henderson fed off that. After that, Scoot Henderson goes on this run where he scores, 9, 11 straight points for the Blazers? And I could tell that Scoot fed off that energy, right? He had a terrible first half. He came back, had a great second half, in my opinion. There was a couple layups he missed that I thought he got fouled on, including one he made where I thought he got fouled on. I want dudes like that. I want dudes that if you're getting punked on your home court, they have a level of pride as a competitor to have a problem with it. To have a freaking problem with it. Ant had a problem with it. You could tell. You could tell he's pissed off. And he changed the complexion of this game. Scoot Henderson fed off it. Those are the two dudes I want. I want guys with that sort of disposition. Okay? That when things are down, things are going bad, maybe you're not getting the touches you want, or the other team's scoring, they're not going to fold or quit or not give 100% effort. I want dudes that'll try and fix that. I want dudes that'll take that personally. I want dudes that'll ratchet up the intensity when adversity hits. That's why I don't like guys like Deandre Ayton. That's why I've never liked Deandre Ayton, like, to be quite honest with you. And I've given this experiment a chance. I've been very open-minded towards it. But at the end of the day, you need dudes with winning mentalities, okay? Anthony Simons has his flaws as a player. You know, we can debate those all day. But he has a winning mentality. Scoot Henderson has a winning mentality. A couple other guys, maybe TBD, like, you know, Sometimes they disappear, but for the most part, they play hard. Like, there's other guys you can debate. I don't think Ayton has a winning mentality, man. I think he's checked out.
I have a question for Taylor Packer. Did you happen to catch the last post-game show, or you just... I didn't see you in chat last time. I don't know if you saw it later on, but he's asking for any breakdowns where we can see where Ayton is too deep or looking checked out. Did you not watch the game? I don't know. I don't know.
First, he did not actually. First one he's missed. Hey, man. I don't know. I don't have anything to say. Like, I thought he very visibly looked checked out, and I see multiple fans saying the same exact thing, so I don't think it's, I mean, he clearly was checked out. Chauncey Billups is chewing him out at the start of the second half. Like...
All right, I'll just... Give me a minute. Tori, you keep talking. I'll find a play and get you some.
Okay. By the way, leave a like on the stream. Let's get the stream to 100 likes. Once again, shout out to BetUS for sponsoring this post-game show. Use the link in the description for 125% deposit match on BetUS. That's $125 free dollars with a $100 deposit. Eric's going to cook us up a play.
Hey, guess what? I went to NBA.com. They have the videos up already. Mm-hmm. I clicked on his first made field goal.
Yeah.
And it's Ayton dropping way back, and Luka has a wide open three.
Yeah.
So here we go. And
yeah,
Ayton does the cornet contest from like the free throw line.
Dude, Ayton did a cornet contest on Grant Williams in transition on a pull-up three. He wasn't anywhere close to even bother the shot, but he still jumps at the pump fake. And then Grant Williams blows by him. Grant Williams. Ayton just reaches out, lazily fouls him for an and one. I mean, what does he do? What does he actually do? That's my question. What does he do? JJ LaFont, $2 donation, who was, by the way, one of Ayton's biggest supporters coming into the season. And he says, it's bad when even I'm turning on Ayton. Shout out to JJ for the $2 donation. I appreciate you. Good to see you in here, JJ. Always love seeing JJ in the post-game show. Dude, me and JJ argued a bunch on Ayton at the start of the year, right? And it was never something where I even wanted to be right. Like, it was something where I'm going to give Ayton the chance. I want them to turn him into a star. I said that from the jump. To me, he's checking out. I didn't complain about his effort hardly at all to start the season. I thought he gave pretty good effort at the start of the season. But at this point, it's rough. It's rough.
It's even funnier than when I like watching them all back to back.
Is there anyone you never aren't worried about? What does that mean? That's a double negative. Rephrase that. Skrilla. That's the thing. If Ayton's on minimum contract, fine. Fine. It's on a max, man. What does he do? What does he do? I don't like getting guys that have problems and have already been paid. Because at least their next contract, they can use that as motivation. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But it's just like, this ain't a daycare. We shouldn't have to constantly find ways to make the situation as good as possible in order to motivate someone. But when people say, he's probably mad he's not getting enough shots, and he's probably mad that they play ISO, there's just a bunch of excuses. Like, okay, the situation isn't perfect for him. So what? That's not an excuse to not give it your all. That's not an excuse to not play hard. The name of the daycare is Ayton Care. Damn. We have a 3-year process to make it work. Yeah, I mean, just at this point, we're going to have to attach assets to his contract. At this point, we're going to have to attach like a Tamani Kamara level asset to get rid of his contract. I love Tamani. I ain't attaching him to Ayton to get rid of him. But he's just not the long-term answer. Sean Dawes says Norman Powell got paid and he fell off the effort cliff. Yeah, Norman Powell didn't really want to be here. We've kind of seen this before. We've seen this before with Norman Powell.
I will say, I have to give credit to Jeremy. He's showing effort. He got paid.
Yeah.
He is showing effort this year. I don't think you can say that about him.
Yeah. I was a little worried about Jeremy coming back to this team. No Dame.
Sure.
Got paid. I was worried that Jeremy's effort would decline, but Jeremy's always kind of been a guy who plays somewhat hard. Like, he was a role player before. He came in as a second-round pick. Okay, this is the difference between a Jeremy Grant and Deandre Ayton. Jeremy Grant came in as a second-round pick, had to get it out the mud. Right? He started his career Philadelphia. That's a nod to the Out the Mud podcast with Paul Reed. Had to get it out the mud, though. He was a role player. He was valued for his effort. He was valued for some little things. Now he's become the star-level scorer. Those little things aren't quite where I would want them to be. But for the most part, his disposition is to play hard. Even though he's gotten paid, even though Dame's not here and he wanted to come here to play with Dame, all he knows is playing hard or somewhat hard. Sure, there's effort plays here or there where it's questionable. Sure, he's kind of allergic to getting rebounds. But it's I don't know. I haven't really been displeased with his effort so far this season. He plays pretty hard. The difference with him and Deandre Ayton was the number 1 overall pick. Deandre Ayton was treated like a star before he entered the league. And he expects to continue to be treated like a star even though he's not a star. Even though he gets paid like a star. So that's the difference.
You know what else is funny, Tori, when watching these is when it's like back-to-back plays and you see the same mistake. It's always funny.
Yeah.
Oh my god, dude, this is...
You watching the tape back? I wish we could play tape on stream, man. Maybe one day.
Some of these you're going to swear it's the same play, but it's not. I promise you these are all different.
Michael L. says, do you think it's possible that Ayton is just not 100% physically back from his injury? I mean, did he look like he didn't get up much on that oop he had to start the game? Like, he doesn't seem to be moving very well out there. I'm not going to buy that. Threw down an oop to start the game, right?
Yeah, and then dunked the second play.
I mean, you can tell when the dude is like maybe physically limited, but still trying. Compared to a lack of effort. I'm sure maybe that's an excuse for him. But that's the problem. I'm tired of giving excuses, man. Tired of giving excuses. The thing is, before coming back from this injury, he wasn't worth the max anyway. Production-wise, he was not worth a max contract. His production was down from previous year. His production, well into the season, was down from where Nurkic's was last year. So, we still give up a bunch of shots at the rim at a really high percentage at the rim. And even if he's not physically 100%, that doesn't excuse mental mistakes like not running the right scheme to start the second half. I mean, Chauncey obviously isn't making that excuse for him when he chews him out to start the second half. $2 Drono says, let's give some love to WAP. Okay, Dro. Thank you for the Drono.
I'm laughing at Kara calling Sean Miller as coach at Arizona a girl.
Oh, man. Yeah, I'm not a Sean Miller fan either. Anyway, let me know when you got the plays.
They're uploading right now.
We can take a look. We're gonna listen to Chauncey's interview later on the stream.
Post it, hopefully.
We're gonna talk about Ant. Gonna talk a little bit more about Scoot. Already touched upon them, but that's the bright spots in this game were Ant, Jeremy, and one half of Scoot. Which I'll take a good half and a bad half with Scoot. You know, given how the start of his career has been games where he's had 2 bad halves. Ayton next to Embiid would be lethal in what world?
Okay, yeah, I saw several people saying that in chat earlier, that Ayton himself has said he's a 4. If you can't guard pick and roll in the 5, how is he supposed to be a 4? I don't understand that.
And he doesn't shoot threes, and he doesn't handle the ball. How is he a 4?
I don't know. That's what people are saying.
Yeah, he doesn't do power forward things or center things. Power forward things, you want a guy to be able to play out on the perimeter, hit a 3, defend the perimeter, consistently. And if they're a little bit more switchy, if you have a versatile 4, I mean, you'd be throwing that out the window because you don't want Ayton trying to get through screens on a pick and roll. Right? So how does he do power forward things at all? Doesn't make sense. He said he doesn't want to be a 5, but he doesn't have a 4 skill set. I mean, here's the thing. I think he should be shooting threes. We should be trying to figure out some sort of way to get something more out of him. 8 and 4, Wemby 5. Wemby would be the 4 in that situation. At least offensively. But that's the thing. If you have a versatile big, you can have some 2 big lineups because Wemby can play in any situation, right? So he just adapts his game to Ayton if they get played next to each other. That's why I want Alex Sarr. Because idealistically, you could pair Alex Sarr with a center, with another big, or you can play Alex Sarr as the center. That's why I'm all aboard the Alex Sarr train. So losing games like this is great for that, right? So we should be happy. Alex Sarr season. Sorry for Sarr. That's the motto.
No, I don't know if this was Eric Olson's, if he came up with this, but I hadn't heard this before. But I saw Eric Olson type, "Wish upon a Sarr." I thought that was awesome.
Wish upon a Sarr.
That's great.
We need a super Sarr. Yeah, there's a lot there. There's a lot there. Good one.
You wish.
Yeah, you're gonna remix that song for Alex Sarr.
All right, got 7 pictures in there for Taylor Packer there.
Alrighty. I will bring them up when I can. I don't know how fast they're gonna load with the cloud. All right, here we go. I'm gonna have to make this.
Yeah, sorry, I was trying to do it.
It's fine. All right. Okay.
So first one, Lively screens Sharpe. Luka has a lot of space, pulls up, has like 10 feet of room here to shoot. Ayton for Hawkes, but why would Miami want Hawkes or Ayton right now?
Yeah,
they got rid of they dumped Whiteside on us. He's like the same thing. Like Spoelstra wants nothing to do with Ayton.
Yeah,
and most good franchises don't.
If he ended up in Miami, Heat culture might make him retire. All right, so second play.
All right, second play. We got Lively coming to screen Tamani again, and look where Ayton's standing.
Yep.
And he just goes right around and has a bunch of space.
Are these all 7 different plays?
Yeah. The first 3 are the first 3 baskets he made. So, how do they think this is going to stop Luka? Okay, so here we go. Here they're screening Sharpe. Ayton's, not only is he in the screen, but you can tell he's moving towards his left, which is the opposite way of where Luka's about to go. Is he even calling out these screens? I don't know. But like I mean, Luka's one of the best players in the league. How are we going to stop him with one person trying to guard two guys as he's getting screened? And yeah, a good screener like Lively. Like we got actually pretty lucky that Lively got hurt. Hope he's okay. But yeah,
we had 72 points in the paint, and they didn't have Lively there protecting the rim. Yeah, because he's been huge for them this year, just like we predicted. But
yeah, so there we go. That's play 3. As we go
next play.
Do you see people typing in chat? Since when I can hear you, though. Like,
yeah, I don't understand it either. But Kevin just got here. Amazing content. That's funny.
It's not both that it's back, but it's not back for me.
Yeah.
It went white screen for me.
What is white
Are we
screen
back?
mean? What does a white screen mean?
White screen, white. Like
yeah.
It just went all white. Yeah.
I don't know. I think so. I don't know.
Right.
Maybe.
I think we're back.
Just wanted to burn this image into your guys' heads. I just wanted you guys to stare at this for like 3 minutes in a row, okay? So hopefully you guys get the picture.
All right, so... all right. I just want... like... Oh, no. Okay, it's like spiked for a second. If you can hear me... I hope it's...
We're still lagging like crazy, huh? I don't know. I think we're fine. I don't know. Yeah. We just chill.
All right. I will address that in a second, Taylor. But yeah, let's... I bring up that play that I got froze on. And then...
yeah.
And then bring up the next play.
Okay.
You'll swear it's the same play. I just accidentally did it twice, right?
Yeah, but you got Grant getting through the screen instead of Sharpe.
Instead of Sharpe, so you know
they literally replaced each other.
I swear it's a different picture. Brogdon's in the same spot. Yeah.
That's wild.
Yeah. So yeah, then I just go quick through the next one. I'll just get through this real quick. There's another one. Sharpe goes over the screen. Ayton's nowhere to be found. And then this is the first one of the second half where Anthony gets completely taken out of the play and still has to come back and get in front of him. And so...
hey, at least he got out of the paint on this one.
Yeah. Taylor says, I agree it's too deep. I guess for me, when I see that, I just don't come to the conclusion that he's checked out or he's going to be a problem, et cetera, et cetera. He's just playing too deep. Okay. So 2 things. One, so Tori kind of alluded to this last stream that you missed, but there are some rumblings that they're maybe not too happy with his effort level, and that's what we're basing this on. And then also, okay, so he gets chewed out. Like, if he didn't get chewed out there, I could maybe see your point. But my other thing is, what else did he do on defense? Did he recover on any of these possessions? Did he get rebounds in traffic on any of these possessions? Did he, go guard someone else or block some shots or be a menace around the rim or even deter a single person around the rim? Or if you played some of these out, did they not just go right around him or pass to someone who went right around him and got a basket out of it? So like, if it's just this drop coverage that I'm seeing, but what did he do on defense in this game? He didn't do a single thing on defense. Like, no matter what, whether it was Luka setting a screen or getting a screen, and you're running that coverage. I just I don't understand how you could watch him in the first half of this game and think that he's actually engaged in doing anything out there to deter the other team from scoring. He just was a non-factor. I mean, I don't know.
Yep. Donnie Totino in chat says, once you start noticing he just wanders around under there doing nothing, it is really incredible. Yeah, he had a defensive 3-second call in this game because he just like wandered under the rim guarding nobody and just stood there for 3 seconds. Like, it's bad, man. So, yeah, as far as like what Eric said with like they might be unhappy with him effort-wise, like, you know, there are definitely rumblings, some rumblings I haven't even shared with Eric because I can't. So, you know, I definitely can't share it with you guys, but there's more. I said read between the lines last stream, and then he comes out and has a game like this. I mean, I don't know. Don't really know what else to say. So, yeah.
Mute that, Bozo. That is incorrect. He says Doug Fur was looking good tonight. No, he was not, dude.
I was going to say,
I love you.
Bozo never says anything controversial.
I love you, Bozo, but that's wrong. We can't have differing opinions here. If you like Doug Fur, I cannot be behind that. Or say, oh, it's okay, we can have a differing opinion. No, we can't on that one.
Tori, you don't got no inside sources, baby. I love when people say that. Yeah, I definitely don't talk to a bunch of people. I definitely don't.
I mean, who cares? Is there anything? King Sam's the first says, is there anything positive going on with the Blazers? We've been dogging on Ayton for like 30 minutes. I mean, we're 6-18. I mean, are we supposed to say how good this team's playing? And
our last 18 games were 3-15. Like, we're 3-3 and we're 6-18. I mean, what are we supposed to be positive about, really? Like, Ant, I love how Ant went on a run there. Like, and Ant had a kind of got pissed off about the way this game was going. Like, I love that. Ant, this is the other thing I want to rant about today. There's people on Twitter that are blaming Ant for this team losing games right now. And it's like, what the hell are you talking about? They were losing a bunch of games without him. Like, they were 6-13 without him. And the offense was in last freaking place, and the defense still wasn't good. The defense was still bad. And then he comes back. It's like, Ant is not the reason the defense looks so bad. Like, all those plays Eric showed you, how is any of that Ant's fault? But the problem is, you got a lot of people out here, Eric, that love to argue that correlation equals causation. I've talked about this since I started the channel, right? Correlation does not equal causation. Just because Ant is back and the defense has started falling off in the past 4 or 5 games does not mean Ant is automatically the reason for it. But a lot of people, I feel like, just don't know what they're watching, so they're just like, oh, the defense is starting to struggle, and Ant just came back, so that means Ant coming back is making the defense struggle. Ant's a problem. And it's like, you don't even have to watch games to come up with that opinion, bro. You don't even have to watch games. You can just look at the box score and be like, I noticed Anthony Simons in the box score, and I noticed they scored 130 points in this game, so, You don't have to watch games to come up with that freaking opinion. And the discourse regarding Anthony Simons, I swear, is just a bunch of crap that's not based on actually watching games. Because there's somebody on Twitter, man, and he's not alone. This is why I bring it up, okay? If it was just one person, fine. But he's not alone. Basically, it's Anthony Simons doesn't make his teammates better. And he's teaching this team bad habits, which, how does that make any sense? What bad habits is he teaching this team? To be confident in scoring the ball and actually able to score the ball? Is that a bad habit? I guess that's a bad habit. But in this first half, in this entire game for the most part, they were giving Anthony Simons so much attention. The Blazers got so many quality looks off of the attention that the Dallas Mavericks defense was giving Anthony Simons. They were doubling him on screens. They were trapping him. They were hedging. Like, they paid a ton of attention to Ant. Ant in this game finishes with 6 assists, 3 turnovers, 2-to-1 assist to turnover ratio. The Blazers got a lot of good shots out of the attention and the gravity that he has, but somehow that's not making his teammates better, which is just a cliche phrase that has no substance and actually doesn't mean anything, right? And given all the attention they gave him, and Ant's shot wasn't really falling tonight, 2 for 8. Ant is 11 for 14 inside the arc. 5 for 5 from the free throw line. 13 for 22 from the field. 33 points on 22 shots. Also had 8 rebounds, was competing on the boards. But somehow, because he's back, when the defense starts to fall off, it automatically has to be his fault, because a lot of people just love to argue correlation equals causation, because I guess they just have no idea what they see when they watch a basketball game.
What's hilarious is that tweet happened right as stupid Tom Haberstroh was saying this was actually a good thing he brought to the game for once. He had a stat that Anthony Simons, did you see the story during the game?
No.
Oh, okay, so he brought up this stat chart that Anthony Simons creates the most space for three-point shooters on your team. So, like, when he kicks out to a three-point shooter, they actually have started keeping track of the space between the nearest defender and the guy who catches the ball for a three-point shot. And Ant was at, like, 8.4 feet per thing, and it's second in the entire league. I forget who was first, but it was, like, Luka was, like, 7.3 or something like that. And so he's showing this incredible stat showing just how good Anthony's been at attracting attention and giving teammates wide open 3-point shots and stuff like that. But somehow that's making your team worse and not a good teammate and teaching them bad habits or something. I guess getting wide open shots is a bad habit. You don't want to teach your team.
I will never, ever take this argument seriously when someone just says, this player makes their teammate better, or this player doesn't make their teammates better, and they don't explain it to make it mean something. Anybody that just uses that phrase and ends the argument there, I'm just going to assume, like, it's BS. I have gotten on my guy Stephen Vaughn on our podcast for using that phrase and not explaining it. Because it's just a cliche phrase. It doesn't actually mean anything. Like, you can back something up better with that if you think somebody makes their teammates better or not. You should be able to explain it. But a lot of people just love to use that phrase because it's kind of ambiguous and it just fits a narrative, right? Like, I don't like Ant, I'm just going to say here, he doesn't make his teammates better. He just looks for his own shot. I'm just going to argue a bunch of BS. And that's basically what people do. And I don't understand it. I don't know why people don't like this guy. It doesn't make any sense to me. But that argument I am so done with. I'm so tired of its surface level crap that doesn't actually mean anything. It's a cliche. It's a cliche. Because that's the thing. People will say that, and then I'm watching the game, and I'm seeing them draw double teams and getting the ball out quickly and making the right pass out of these traps, out of these double teams. And then there's a stat like that where when he kicks out to a three-point shooter, they have all the space in the world. And it's like, how is that not making things easier for your teammates?
Yeah, and the first quarter and the third quarter, but the first quarter in particular, I don't think Ant could have played better. He didn't take a shot for like several minutes. He was setting his teammates up. I felt like he was doing a really good job of setting up the offense. When Jeremy got going, he was looking for Jeremy. It was kind of like, it kind of reminded me of what Dame used to do at the beginning of games and just kind of feel out the game before you start to score or whatever. And then he starts, then he gets a steal and a layup and hits a three and stuff. And then he started getting some shots himself. I just thought he played it really well. And in the second half, second quarter, he kind of pressed a little bit, had a couple of turnovers. I just didn't really make a ton of shots in that quarter. But then in the third quarter, he comes out, and sometimes you need someone to just get mad and take it to the hoop and score like that. Scoot did the same thing later in the half. And like you said, that might have been inspired by Anthony doing the same thing. But Yeah, like sometimes you just need a guy when things are going bad to step up and get you some buckets and get to the line and all that kind of stuff. And I felt like Anthony did that today, and Scoot started to show some flashes in the second half of being able to do that as well.
Yeah. And I mean, my favorite play out of the whole sequence was the defensive play he had on Luka, where he got down and dirty and dug that ball out.
Yep.
Picked Luka's pocket. That was the most trouble anybody gave Luka all night. Like, come on, man. Come on. But then just get hyped. Like, there's times where you're getting punked at your home floor. You got to get the crowd hyped. You got to get your team hyped. You got to get your squad emotionally into the game because they were out of it emotionally. And he steps up, goes on a run like that. You could feel the Moda Center, that like they got louder. They were actually somewhat loud for once this season because of the run that Ant went on. And then Scoot feeds off that. The problem is, like, Shaedon Sharpe was just horrible tonight. Like, he kind of killed that momentum with an awful shot in transition. Like, you can't get too overexcited, but, like, we were playing dead. We have 36 points in the third quarter. That's the only reason it was a game. The problem is we also gave up 36. So the problem is
39
defense.
in the first quarter and gave up 36.
We gave up 36 in the first and had 39. Yeah, 38 in the second, 36 in the third, 21 in the fourth. They finally slowed down, but they didn't really. They could take the foot off the pedal in a way. But here's the thing: a guy like Ant should not be responsible for your defense, good or bad. He's responsible for your offense, a big part of your offense, right? You have 8 other rotation spots to put together a good defense with, and a head coach that can scheme. And I don't think Ant is quite as bad as people say he is. Like, he'll step up and get a big stop. You know, like, he's gotten better staying with people, sliding with people. He's not a good defender, but if a dude that can do the things offensively the way he can is just okay, that's a massive plus. Because as I said, you got 8 other rotation spots to fill out a good defense with. And Ant, a guy like Ant, is never going to be the main reason why your defense sucks. He might be a part of it. If he's struggling defensively, yeah, he's going to be a part of it. But that's why you got stars and you got role players. A lot of times you want role players that are good defenders, that can get the job done on that end. If you have enough of them, guess what? You can have a team that's good on both sides of the floor. The best team the Blazers had went to the Western Conference Finals in 2019. They had their scores: Dame, CJ, Rodney Hood when he got hot in the second round. Right, Seth Curry in the first round hitting some threes, like, you got your scores, but they also had their defensive players. Mo Harkless and Al-Farouq Aminu were the perfect defensive forwards for that backcourt. They were underrated even defensively. What'd you say?
Zach Collins, too.
Zach Collins was huge, too. Right? Like, you got your defensive role players. You got to know how to scheme. You can't be run and drop. If they had great defenders, if they were guarding Luka like the way they were guarding him tonight, where they were dropping that much, Luka still would have eaten. You know what I mean? So, just pisses me off when people try to argue that just because something has a correlation, it's the cause. Correlation does not equal causation. People need to get that in their heads, man. Because, yes, the defense has fallen off since Ant's come back, but that's for other reasons. That's who we're playing. That's our effort level across the board is down. That's, we didn't have Jeremy Grant and Deandre Ayton, and that was part of it, right? But then we get those guys back, and I mean, Jeremy, I don't think it was an effort issue, but he didn't really have much of an impact on our defense tonight, it felt like, and Ayton felt completely checked out. So.
Well, the thing is, and this is the problem, okay? And I don't know how many people do not think this way, but I imagine as each game goes by, there's less and less of these people. It does not work with 4 guards, and you cannot have Brogdon as part of this team moving forward. It's no knock on Brogdon. It's no disrespect to him, but he's not in our future plans. So they need to get rid of him at some point and Because what happens is there's just way too much 3-guard lineups.
Mm-hmm.
And it's the whole game, basically. We have 3 guards, right? Whereas if it's just Scoot, Anthony, and Simon and Shaedon, it's like, there's 12 to maybe 20 minutes a game where the 3 of them are playing, and the rest of the game it's only 2 of them, or maybe 1 of them in some cases. So you're not playing the 3 guards as much, so you have more defense. But when you have all 3 of them in the game, or 3 of the 4 between Brogdon and them, you're always going to be at a disadvantage when you're playing it for 48 minutes. And then, you're playing someone who's not moving at all at center as your starting center. You have someone who is trying out there in Reith, but doesn't move extremely well, so he's going to get exposed if you have him out there with the 3 guards. And then we have Jabari Walker playing some spot minutes at center, and he's just way too undersized to make a 3-guard lineup work with Jabari playing center as well. Yeah. It's tough to make that work. So we're trying to make the 3-guard work, the 3 guards work, without having the right 4-5 to make it work. It just cannot work when you don't have the rebounding and you don't have the physicality and athleticism at those other positions that you need.
Well, I'll say this to your point. Leader, I mean, it's plus minus for 1 game, so can't read too much into it, but I do think this illustrates your point a little bit. Our best guy in plus minus was Toumani Camara, who played 20 minutes. He was a plus 7. Our worst guy in plus minus was Malcolm Brogdon, who played 24 minutes and was a minus 23. In the 24 minutes that Malcolm Brogdon didn't play, we were actually at plus 12. Now, Brogdon, I don't think was terrible, 4 for 7 from the field, 1 for 4 from 3, but I want to see what we were defensively with him in the lineup, because Malcolm Brogdon is not a good defensive player. He's not a good defensive player.
I mean, he's okay.
Yeah, he's not good. Okay, not good. Yeah. He's not somebody that's going to really provide a whole lot on that side of the floor. Like, if you're going to run some 3-guard lineups, if you're going to have a guy like a Malcolm Brogdon with Shaedon Sharpe and Scoot Henderson, you want that guy to be like a hard-nosed defender, right? If it was a Lou Dort, you know what I mean? Like, that would work better.
Right.
Because he would provide you something different at those guard spots. You got playmakers at the guard spots. And you got a Jeremy Grant who can score off the dribble, who was 12 for 20 tonight. Like, you got some guys that can do some things with the ball in their hands. If you're going to have another guard in the equation, if you're going to have 4 guards, you probably want that 4th guy, the one who's the veteran, the one who's not one of the core young 3 guards. You probably want them to be a really good defender that can switch up. Then it's a little easier to play 3-guard lineups. The problem is Malcolm Brogdon is not that player. So he needs to be traded at the deadline. Hopefully sooner than that, but you got to try and maximize value for him. Scoot in this game only plays 24 minutes. He was awful in the first half, but the second half I thought he was great. He was 5 for 10, 1 for 1 from 3, like efficient night for him, 2 for 2 from the free throw line. He did have 3 turnovers. He had a couple of bad mid-range misses to start this game, but he found himself late. Yeah, but like he found himself. He is starting to have stretches where it's like, yeah, that's the guy we drafted. That's the guy we thought we were getting.
So I take it you watched the Mavericks broadcast?
Yeah.
Okay. You might not have caught this then. So, in fairness, got to give credit to Chauncey, but they had an interview that they talked about during the game that was from before the game, where he said he's been really digging at Scoot about his lack of athleticism on the court and bugging him about why he's not showing any flashes of that on the court. And he's like, do you even dunk the ball? Like, and all that. So this is, to give him credit, it was before the game. So it wasn't like he was saying this after or with hindsight or anything. So, yeah, so he's been, I guess, telling Scoot that he's he's looking really slow out on the court and not using his athleticism, and that he wants to start seeing him explode to the hoop. And so whatever Chauncey said to him or whatever the last couple games, he's been exploding to the hoop, and that dunk was impressive. Like, because the thing is, based on the rest of the season, like if you watched him in G League, you know that he has that kind of game, and that's why I was so shocked to see him struggling to even dribble the ball or get to the hoop or finish. So to see him like explode up and have that dunk that he had in the second half, like it kind of catches you off guard now, because now you're not used to him being like that. But hopefully he's back to that attacking mindset and not that kind of settling for flailing around and trying to use different angles and stuff. Just go strong at the hoop.
Well, he was just overthinking it, like not being able to. He was scared of getting blocked. That's what that is. All the contortion stuff when maybe he doesn't need to, he's scared of getting blocked if he tries to go up strong to the rim. So he's trying to do all this fancy stuff to make sure he doesn't get blocked. But that just comes down to being able to read the shot blocker. And that was the problem earlier in the season, is like he was so worried about beating his initial defender who's sagging, who's able to be more physical maybe than in the G League, quicker than who he went up against in the G League. And, like he was so worried about beating his initial defender, he wasn't even reading the rim protector. So like he would go up and get blocked. And then, he started to try and do some extra stuff to try and beat him. At some point, he'll get more respect with this three-point shot. He's shot the ball decently since coming back from injury. So as he improves that, it'll be a little easier to beat his man off the dribble. He'll have a little bit more time to read the rim protector after he beats his man off the dribble, because he's going to beat him earlier if he's out further on him, right? And you hear guys talk about the game slowing down for them. Like, the game will slow down for Scoot where he's reading that rim protector and knows if he can go up strong or needs to resort to like some crafty layup up and under whatever, right? In the G League, which doesn't move as fast, he had time to read that rim protector. That's why at times he'd go up strong and dunk. At times he'd contort, backhand layup, whatever, right? The NBA was obviously moving too fast for him to be able to do that. So Chauncey challenging him to do that. I don't know if he's reading the rim protector better, but like he's had some lanes where he's just gone strong. And he's had a lane where it's like he just needs to go strong, and he's done it lately. He had 3 dunks last game, had a dunk tonight. Like, you love to see it. So, yeah, I love that Chauncey challenged him like that, though. That's great.
Yeah, I just want to see from here on out the rest of the season just at least have some moments in every game where you could be like, okay, that's why he was the number 3 pick, and that's why he was so hyped. And I think we're starting to see that, but I got really worried. He comes in the game, first defensive possession, not once but twice, let the guy just blow right by him on defense. And then first time he touches the ball, he turns it over, bad pass, loses the ball. And then they come back down on offense, and then he breaks the backboard on a jump shot, and I'm just like, oh man, this is rough. And then going down the other end, he gets up into the defender, and you could tell it's one of those things. Brogdon had one in the second half too, where like you just know, like seconds before the foul's called, that they're about to get whistled for a foul because they're playing to, they got their hands pressed up against them and they're overplaying. And players like Luka are so smart about accentuating the contact in those situations. So, so bad defensive possession, turnover, bad shot, and then a bad foul, silly foul. And I was like, oh my God, this is just terrible. But luckily it didn't last very long. We started to play better after that.
Yep. I love that he didn't let that get him down. And I love that he fed off the energy in the building that Ant helped spark there in the third quarter. This is 3 solid games in a row from him. He seems to be turning a bit of a corner. I think he needs to not settle for mid-range shots the way he does. Like, he needs to be a little bit more willing, right? If he gets caught sizing up somebody in the mid-range and they're just, like, sagging off of him, he needs to try and get a little closer and shoot a floater, because I've liked his floater so far this year. And if he can't do that, he needs to try and get in the paint and kick out, or just give the ball up. If there's, more than 4 or 5 seconds on the shot clock, give the ball up. We got guys that can score, right? So give the ball up. He doesn't have to force those shots. Those aren't great shots. Even if he hits half of them, those still aren't great shots. That's 1 point per shot, right? Like, that's the equivalent of shooting 33% from 3, basically. If you make 50% of your mid-ranges, which even in the G League, he wasn't even making 50%. So I think he needs to be a little bit more picky with some of the mid-range shots he shoots. If he's given that space, try and eat it up, and he's talked about this. Eat it up, get to that floater, or try and collapse the defense, or go try and dunk on someone, you know what I mean? Like, he has that athleticism, so he needs to use it a little bit more. I like that he's starting to do that. But that's just learning experiences. Like, the first half was a learning experience. The second half was, like, the flashes that you hope to see, right? And we talk about this season being about player development and improvement. He's improving, and he's going to improve because he works his ass off. Like, there's no doubt in my mind that he's going to look like a completely different player at the end of the year than he did at the start of the year. The last 3 games, he's already looked like a pretty different player than he looked at the start of the year. So, he'll be fine. I like that he made a 3 today. And that was a confidence 3, too. Like, he had 2 buckets right before that, and he shot that 3 with a ton of confidence because he just scored on back-to-back plays. And, like, that was one of those where I wasn't surprised he hit that. The Mavericks broadcast, like, he's shooting 22% on the year, but it was like, yeah, but he had confidence on that one.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Well, to your point, several streams now about his change of pace and that kind of stuff. I mean, watch Luka tonight. Do you know how many plays he comes to, like, almost a complete stop with the ball and shields someone off with his butt and or puts on the brakes and lets someone go right by him and then has an easy lay-in. So he's not as tall as Luka, but it's not necessarily the height. It's just manipulating the players to move in a way where you're not always at a threat to run into someone and get a charge or be out of control when you shoot. Luka is almost always under control whenever he drives, whether he's going full speed or stopping completely. And I mean, he had one tonight where he stopped and, like, waited a few seconds right by the hoop before he shot it. And, like, it looks so awkward, but you have to find a way to use different speeds and more just kind of orchestrating where you want the defenders to go before you make your move. And I think as the game slows down, hopefully that improves with Scoot.
Yeah, absolutely. And he's going to be working on that type of stuff all year, Like, he's not... I think he's somebody that knows the game well enough, and Chauncey is a former point guard, knows the game from that position well enough where they'll identify stuff like that he needs to work on.
Yeah, absolutely.
And having Ant in front of him, like, some of Ant's finishes today, man, like, I don't think we gave his finishing enough credit. He had some strong-ass finishes, man, where he's just jumping off his right foot despite him shooting with his right hand, so it's, like, wrong foot, but it was, like, the right foot to jump off of, you know what I mean? Like, when you're taught basketball growing up, you're taught, like, if you're shooting a right-handed layup, you jump off your left, you bring up your right knee and your right hand at the same time, but in the NBA, when you're in a dead sprint, like, you gotta be able to jump off both feet and finish. Ant's jumping off his right foot, jumping right into the chest of the defender and, like, cocking the ball, like, kind of behind him and just finishing everything. And it's like, you remember where Ant's driving and finishing was when he came into the league. Like, he's made so much improvement. And I was watching some of those Ant finishes, I was just sitting there thinking, like, someday Scoot's going to be finishing exactly like this, exactly like Ant is right now. Or maybe dunking on him. If he can't dunk on him, he's going to be finishing like this. At some point, he'll get to that level. It's just he's 19. He's not there yet. But watching the way Ant finished the game tonight, or finished layups tonight, Scoot's finishing will get there. He'll be fine. And then Ant, just the way he just finds gaps is impressive. Like, even if they're thin gaps, he's able to burst through gaps. He's stronger now. in the past he would have gotten bumped off his spot a little too much. Now he drives strong as hell, and that's super impressive. And Scoot will get there too. I think having Ant in front of him in that regard might be a good mentor, actually, long term, which is kind of weird to think about as Ant as a mentor, but yeah. And as far as Scoot goes, like 3-point shooting, I'm kind of just, let me know if you're doing this too, chat or Eric. Percentage wise, I'm actually just like looking at it from when he came back from injury.
Well, I don't know if I'm doing that. I'm not actually looking at his stats at all. I just want to see.
Well, here's the thing. You want improvement, right? Like, he's shooting 23% on the season, but he started off the season terribly, right?
Yeah.
And it was the whole thing, like, he needed contacts, blah, 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 this, that. He got the goggles, whatever, right? So I like just looking at his percentage. He started 2 for 24, then got hurt, right? And was, like, obviously in his own head. I like just looking at his numbers since coming back from that injury, where he finally got some confidence, got the goggles, got the new contacts, right? After this game, he's shooting 34.2% from threes since coming back from injury, which it's not above average or anything, but 34%,
good
like,
for him.
that's good. Yeah, you'll take that, right? If he improves a little bit more, like, that's kind of where you're hoping it would be. So he's 13 for 38 since coming back from injury. Like, if he shoots 34, 35% the rest of the year, which he is since coming back from injury, I'm happy with that for sure.
Kapalify had a quote from him after the game. He was quoted as saying, "Anybody that doubts the Trailblazers, I'm going to make them eat that."
Scoot said
interesting.
That?
Yeah. Interesting. I like that mindset. Yeah.
I like that mindset too.
I don't know if they're going to. I mean, they're 6-18, but
you got to have that mindset.
Yeah.
You have that mindset, man. Like, that's the competitor mindset. Like, not, oh man, we suck. You don't want your players on your team thinking we suck. Oh well, like, use the fact that they're 6-18. People are calling Scoot a bust. Use that as fuel. Use that as motivation. That's all you can do. That's the only positive thing you can do in this sort of situation. I want dudes with that mindset. So I love Scoot's mentality, man. I freaking love it. He'll be just fine. I am more worried about other dudes on this team. So love to see it from Scoot. Shout out to Oscar. I shouted out his donation, but I didn't actually read it earlier in the stream. Hopefully Oscar's still here. Shout out Oscar, $5 donation, says, new job, haven't heard as much this year, but try to watch as much as I can. Why is Sharpe been so passive the last 2 games when he was trending so upwards? Eric, the other thing, because I said last postgame show feeds a lot into this one, the other thing I talked about last postgame show was Sharpe had an insane run of like 5-6 games, right, where he's averaging like 26 points a game, but he was playing heavy minutes, around 40 minutes a game. And I said he had a stretch like that earlier this season where he was playing like 42 minutes a game, and then had a terrible stretch after that where it seemed like he was fatigued, okay? Then he goes on that hot stretch lately, and then last game was like 1 for 12, was like non-existent, seemed very fatigued. And I said, maybe this is just a bad game, but if he continues to have more of these games, you have to wonder if this is just like the establishment of a pattern where when he's playing well, Chauncey's playing him 40, 41 minutes a game, and then he's getting gassed because of it. And this is the second straight game where he's looked fatigued.
Yeah, I mean, 2 games, hard to tell if it's just that or not, but certainly possible. I don't know. I feel like when Ant and Scoot are both playing, he just doesn't seem to get the quality of looks. I mean, Scoot's shooting a lot more than you'd think he'd shoot at times. And, of course, Anthony's getting his shots. Yeah.
I don't buy that because Ant's been back for 5 games, right? Ant's first 3 games back, he shot 23, 24 shots a game. He was 10 for 27, then 10 for 21, then 10 for 23, right? And in that third game also had...
You're talking about Anthony?
Yeah, Ant.
Yeah.
Right? But Sharpe in all those games went off too. Scoot was also playing in those games.
Yeah, well, I think some of those, though, Scoot didn't play a ton, or at least one of those, right?
I mean, Scoot only played 24 34 minutes tonight. Let me look at Scoot's game log.
What?
Scoot in those games played 26, 30, and 30 minutes.
Okay. How many shot attempts did Sharpe have in those games?
Let me go check. Sharpe had,
I think 15,
18,
20.
15, 17.
Yeah.
But like he was making them. Now it's like 1 for 12 than 2 for 7.
Yeah.
So he was getting more shot attempts when the thing he was
Well, Grant tonight.
Yeah, but here's the thing is like I feel like he was more aggressive in trying to get the ball, cutting, looking for shot attempts. And I feel like the last 2 games he's just willingly almost been passive. I mean, he was 1 for 12 last game. I don't know. It doesn't feel like he wants the ball as bad.
Do you think Ayton's lack of screen setting has anything to do with that? Because he's been thriving in the pick and roll.
Yeah. I wish we had Nurkic's screens right now for our young guards, man. But I don't know. Like, my best guess is he's just exhausted because the 4 games before this bad 2-game stretch, 3 of them he played at least 41 minutes. And we've seen this happen before.
Donnie said the same thing. Maybe he's relying on Ayton to set screens for him now that he's back, who once again is underperforming.
We've seen this before. He had that 6-game stretch where he played great and then had a 2 for 12 game, 7 for 17, 3 for 8 game, right?
Yeah.
And he seemed gassed. He had this hot 5-game stretch where he scored at least 24 points in every game, then comes back 1 for 12, 2 for 7. So that's pretty close to 2 for 12 and 3 for 8, you know? We've seen this before, where he's had a hot stretch, played heavy minutes, then really struggled after that. And he even hinted at maybe being fatigued during that first stretch where he struggled. So I just think Chauncey cannot sit here playing him multiple games of 41, 42 minutes. Now, they had a lot of days off, so maybe it's not that in this stretch. Like, maybe, I don't know. It's just, once it's a coincidence. Twice, maybe it's still a coincidence. But if it happens time and time again, then it's a pattern. Then it's more predictable, right?
Yeah.
It explains more, you would think. It becomes less and less of a coincidence the more times it happens. So, I don't know. But he's just been completely checked out, and I don't know why.
Definitely could be. It's also, I mean, he's still figuring out how to deal with defenses, knowing his moves, and all that kind of stuff. Like, there's been very few players in the history of the league that just 2 years in, you're dominating every game and you don't have bad games or bad stretches or anything. So I just think sometimes he just doesn't have it some nights. And
yeah, he just seemed to not have a rhythm today.
Well, I was going to say, the way, like, his shot he's got good form and all that, you know?
Yeah.
But I think, I don't know, when doesn't have the energy or whatever, I don't feel like it's going in like when he's locked in, you know? Like, it seems like a lot of shots come up short or front rim, and they're kind of flat looking. It seems like he doesn't explode like on his fadeaways up in the air much. He's like kind of low to the ground, and so yeah, I think we just gotta kind of work through that. But I mean, that's part of. See, I don't know. To me, it's not as much of a concern with Sharpe because we've seen him show what he can do, and I don't think learning how to be consistent is a problem. Now, like 3, 4, 5 years into the league, if he's still having stretches where he's just non-existent for several games, then I can totally see if you want to say like he has effort problems or whatever, but I don't know. Right now, I feel like it's just him trying to figure out, and then Ant comes back and he's trying to. It's fine at first, but once Ant starts to reestablish himself, and then Jeremy and Ayton come back, he's trying to make it work.
Yeah, he's 20. This was supposed to be his rookie year. He was supposed to be playing for Kentucky last year. He's supposed to be a rookie right now.
Mm-hmm.
If he was a rookie right now, he might be the favorite for rookie of the year. And we'd be saying, oh my God, this dude is amazing, right? But since it's his second year, right? Like expectations got raised a ton. And then he has these hot stretches like, oh my goodness, he's insane, right?
Yeah.
So now expectations are through the roof. So then when he has a couple games like this, it's like, oh my goodness, what's wrong? Whereas if this was his rookie season, he wasn't like impressing us so much. It'd be like, oh yeah, just rookie lumps. Like he's gonna be inconsistent, right? Like if Scoot had some monster games like Sharpe had, and then a couple of games like this, we'd be saying it's completely fine, So it's probably something where he has to learn how to get a rhythm quicker, or be able to get going when he doesn't have a rhythm. I think his game's a little bit rhythm based right now. So I don't know. I'm not too worried about him. I just want to know why, and then that can potentially help them fix it. So they need to figure out what's going on. I don't know. But yeah. Elizabeth Allen says, I'm making up that he's exhausted every time he doesn't score 24. I mean, that's just a BS statement because I have said maybe it's still a coincidence, right? And maybe it's not fatigue. I'm not saying that for sure. But he has stretches where he averages 40 to 42 minutes for like a 5-6 game stretch and then struggles. I'm bringing that up as a legitimate possibility. And I'm saying the more it happens, the more likely it is. I'm not making anything up. That's a BS statement.
Also, he's someone who's used his athleticism and jumping ability to get shots, and he's had a lot of trouble finishing around the rim lately, and in traffic, and he's maybe just not getting the same lift if his legs are tired.
Yeah, I mean, he even hinted at it.
That's like wrong to say.
He even hinted at it during the first bad stretch. He even hinted at it. I don't remember exactly what he says, but he hinted at it. So why are you trying to come at me saying I'm trying to make up stuff when he hinted at it? You can go look at his game logs and establish a bit of a pattern there. And if you watch him, does he not look tired at all? Like he's checked out. So don't sit here saying I'm trying to make stuff up every time he doesn't score 24, because it's based on more than just that. Come on, man. Come on now. That's ridiculous. Frustrating. It's like you just didn't hear anything I said if you're saying I'm trying to make stuff up. Anyway.
Does anyone know if Chauncey's interview's out? Let me see.
It's a 23-second interview. I can play it on my phone. There's no point to play it on anything but my phone because it's a 23-second interview.
What?
Taylor Packer says, yeah, he said in practice facility interview that fatigue is a factor. So Sharpe himself said fatigue is a factor. I bet he's just making it up. He's probably just making it up. Despite playing 42 minutes a game for 6 games in a row.
Why did they even post it if it was 23 seconds?
No idea. No idea. He had a wrist injury. You guys blamed it on that. He didn't have a wrist injury. He had a thumb injury. Okay, whatever.
All right,
I'm not going to have this freaking argument. This is silly. They posted it for the stream? Yeah, maybe. I'll play it on my phone. Here we go.
Trying to deny everybody else, but still kind of falling apart on the back end after 1 or 2 passes.
Yeah, we started off just kind of like, on our little down, our little drop defense, and knowing that he was probably going to get going, but you can never show him a steady diet. And
that's the interview, ladies and gentlemen.
I think they maybe messed that up.
I don't know what that was.
Yeah, there's no way that was all of it. The whoever posted it must have cut it off on accident or something.
At the beginning and the end, though.
Yeah. That's weird. Does anyone know if it was posted anywhere else?
Not sure. Chat, let me know. Eric, give me a second.
Okay. All right. Never show him a steady diet. Yeah. All right, boys, we're done. Never show him a steady diet of Ayton dropping into the paint. Yeah. How's everyone in chat doing tonight? You ready for another one of these exciting games tomorrow? Nathan Rolfe says Scoot's locker room interview got me thinking he doesn't like coming off the bench. I think Scoot just wants to win, so I think that's part of the problem. Like, he feels like he's not playing enough to maybe impact the game. But yeah, I don't think he has to be a starter. I just think he wishes he could help the team win more. Is what I think it is. Eric, will we turn around tomorrow? You mean like, will we win tomorrow? We played Golden State, so who knows? Curry's probably going to go off if we have the drop coverage on him. And yeah. We better not run drop on Curry tomorrow or we're in trouble. But they don't have Draymond, so that's good for us. Yeah, I don't know.
The Blazers website has the 6.5 minute interview. People can listen to that in their own time, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah.
After the stream, because I'm going to end it here in a second. We need to do Tankathon, Eric.
Yeah, Tankathon, let's go. Did we even do Tankathon last? Oh, yeah, we did, right? Yeah, okay.
And then next stream, I think we'll talk more about prospects. I wanted to this stream, but this has gone long, and we have a lag spike, so I'm probably just going to do Tankathon and wrap it up.
While you're doing that, Taylor asked, do you think it's silly to worry about the long-term fit with Scoot, Shea, and Ant? I don't think it's silly to think about it, but I think, like, this year, I don't think it really matters if they're playing well together or not. But yeah, in a couple of years, we will need to figure that out. But that's one of the reasons why I was against Scoot, is because I felt like we were okay, even if we traded Dame with, or more than okay with Ant and Sharpe, and needed to fill other spots or whatever. But
yep, Portland is tied for fourth with Memphis at 6-18. We are 2 games behind the 2 teams tied for second, which is San Antonio and Washington. Both those games won recently. That's why their streak is not in green. Look at us, lost 6 in a row. 6 in a row. At least we're not Detroit, who's lost 23 in a row, and fans were rioting outside their stadium after their loss today, apparently.
And
so
for some reason, they're talking about trading for Tobias Harris to fix it all.
Ridiculous stuff there in Detroit. They might set the record for the fewest wins in a 82-game season.
Before Troy Weaver gets fired, can we please get Austin Thompson on the Blazers? Thank you.
I know, yeah. If there's any way to get him, I would love to explore that.
If they're talking about Tobias Harris, if you want Jeremy Grant back, we'll give you... I would do this in a heartbeat. Jeremy Grant and the Golden State pick for Usher and salary filler.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I don't think they would, but...
I know, but that would be so awesome.
That would be awesome. Let's simulate this thing. 14 is New Orleans. 13 is Phoenix, moving down 1 spot. So who was...
Hold on, I'm bringing it up. We got Brooklyn going to Houston.
Is that pick unprotected?
I believe it is.
So our pick is 12th instead of 11th. via Golden State.
They don't have some of the protections on here for some reason.
San Antonio via Toronto at 11. Chicago at 10, which means another team has jumped up. Whichever team was above Toronto's pick to San Antonio.
That was Golden State.
No. That was not Golden State.
Golden State's down to 12.
Anyway, we'll find out. 9 is Utah. 8 is Charlotte. 7 is your Portland Trailblazers falling 3 spots. Let's go. We get Nikola Topic.
7 and 12.
That's like worst case scenario. 6 is San Antonio, moving down 4 spots. 5 is Detroit. 4 is Atlanta. 3 is Washington. 2 is Memphis. And 1 is the Houston Rockets via the Brooklyn Nets.
Wow. It is unprotected. Right.
So not only does Houston make the playoffs, and therefore their pick to OKC is like 20th, they also get the number 1 pick via the Brooklyn Nets. That would be crazy. That would be funny, man. That would also kind of suck because...
By the way, Golden State, as of right now, is not even in the play-in.
Yeah. It's Phoenix and New Orleans at 9 and 10.
What? Would you trade 7 and 12 for a Sir Thompson straight up?
Yes. Asar?
Yeah.
Yes.
That'd be so interesting.
I would, yeah, absolutely would. I don't think you're going to get anybody that's as good of a... Damn, that scared me. I just dropped something. I jumped on the stream.
Asir and Timani as our forwards of the future.
Yeah, like good role player fit with some upside, like better combination of that than what you're going to get in those picks, I think. So, yeah, I absolutely would. Absolutely would.
Yeah, maybe not in many drafts, but this one probably.
Yeah. Anyway, have you been watching prospects, or do you want to watch prospects or talk about prospects next stream?
Yeah, sure. I did watch I watched the Ignite game. Unfortunately, Ron Holland sat out, but I watched the remix Ignite game from Thursday night when it was on at the same time as ours, and I recorded a bunch of games today and watched them this morning. Yeah.
Yep.
So yeah, we're going to talk about that tomorrow night.
Yeah, looking forward to that. Post-game show will be live at the same time as the Blazers play Golden State tomorrow. So we'll see. I mean, rooting for Portland to win that game. I feel like they'll come out of the gates well in tomorrow's game. Don't know why.
Well, they did tonight.
Yeah, I mean...
But that's basically because Jeremy is just hitting shots.
Dallas is good. They got good role players around Luka again, you know? They didn't have Kyrie, didn't have Derek Lively for the majority of this game, but Luka just dominated us. Like, I guess it comes down to not letting Curry go off, but, like, Curry...
Who would have thought, though, adding Derek Jones Jr. and Dante Exum, you'd be saying that they have good role players.
Yeah, I mean, not really as much for Exum. Like, Grant Williams has been solid-ish for him, even though, like... How much did he even play tonight? He played 31 minutes. I mean, I barely noticed him out there. Mm-hmm. 31 minutes. He made one shot. But Tim Hardaway has the ultimate green light. Like, Seth Curry, Dwight Powell off the bench, pretty good combo. And then Lively and Derek Jones Jr., good defensive players. And Derek Jones Jr., like, his athleticism and his defense fits really well in that lineup. So then Exum is just the Blazer killer now. It's wild, man. I don't understand.
Oh, he's calling other teams, too.
I know. He's 15.6 minutes a game. He's averaging 7.7 points. 54% from the field and 42% from three. Like,
it's even better if you just look at like his last 2 weeks.
Yeah, he's coming back into the league, and it's like, yeah, this is why I was drafted at 5th. I know I'm like 10 years late, but because he's the 5th pick in the 2014 draft. He's still only 28, though. Kind of wild, man. Kind of wild stuff. Yeah, the last 5 games, it started with us, but 23 points, 16 points, 26 points, 14 points, 18 points.
Yeah.
He's quick and can finish, like, is really what it is.
I mean, if he's shooting the 3, it opens up his game a lot because then he can drive.
Yeah.
You know?
He was 7 for 9 from 3 against the Lakers a couple of games ago.
Yeah,
so his story's kind of fascinating.
Yep. And now he's got the confidence, so who knows if it'll be a fluke or if he'll just keep rolling with it.
Yeah, see, that's the thing. I don't know, man. It's funny how we couldn't surround Dame with the right role players, but like the Mavericks can bring in Dante Exum and like turn him into what he was supposed to be like 9 years later. Kind of fascinating.
I mean, we both wanted Derek Lively, though. Unfortunately, he got hurt tonight, but I mean, we both knew the instant Mavericks picked him that he was going to be perfect for them.
Yeah. Center's going to be a hot topic for the rest of the year. I don't think DeAndre Ayton is the starting center next year. Not sure, but if I had to guess, it's close to 50-50, but I'd probably err on the side that he's not.
Yeah.
So
I just think it might not be like they might not have a way to not have him be the starting center.
That's why it's 50-50.
Right.
I am down, like, out of him, Jeremy, and Brogdon, if I had to pick one guy to keep, it would be Jeremy, I guess, assuming we didn't have to give up assets to get rid of Ayton. Obviously, it comes down to, like, what the trade offer is for Ayton for Jeremy, but Mike Tobey is better than DeAndre Ayton? Okay, I'm not going to go that far, Dro. I don't know why I would like you for that take, but you're entitled to it.
Well, thanks everyone for watching. Hope you all have a good night, and hope to see you all on the show tomorrow night.
Yep. Looking forward to seeing if the Blazers can win against Golden State to keep that Golden State pick looking better. I'm rooting for that as much as anything because we're rooting against Golden State this year. Luckily for us, Draymond is also helping us with our cause because he can't stop getting suspended. He played so long ago, Dro, that I don't even, have attachment. But anyway, we'll be live again tomorrow, and then stream on our second channel on Monday. Once again, thank you to BetUS for sponsoring the stream. Use the link at the top of the description box below for a 125% deposit match if you want to bet on any NFL action tomorrow. Got NFL games all day long as we're getting into the swing of things with the NFL season, and then NBA basketball as well. You can get in on picks. I will have a short tomorrow with BetUS picks for the Warriors game, so stay tuned for that. Shout out to them for sponsoring this post-game show. With that being said, we are out of here. The Blazers lose 131-120. Couple of good moments, but Doncic dominates the Blazers defense, and we'll see if they can turn it around tomorrow and end their 6-game losing streak. And until then, as always, peace out. Go Blazers.